Good morning. My name is Leslie Desmangles. I'm Gertrude's husband, and we've been members of the Asylum Hill Church for nearly 20 years. I'm professor of religion and international studies at Trinity College, with specializations in African and Caribbean studies. I'm a minister of the gospel and was ordained in New Jersey in 1967. I am HCC. I was born in Haiti in a profoundly religious family. My great-grandfather was the founder of the First Baptist Church in Port-au-Prince. Gertrude's grandfather was also the founder of the First Methodist Church in Haiti. And we've had 3 children and 3 wonderful grandchildren. They have never lived in Lake Wobegon, but I can assure you that they are all good-looking and also above average. I should perhaps tell you an unusual phenomenon in our family, and it is that my brother is also my brother-in-law, and Gertrude's sister is her sister-in-law. And if you haven't figured it out, it only means that 2 brothers have married 2 sisters. Our family lived in a very frugal and relatively simple life. My parents were saints in God's presence and also in God's earthly kingdom. My father was a physician and a pharmacist, and my mother a school teacher. Our family owned 2 pharmacies in the city of Port-au-Prince, and their revenues provided for our daily needs. My father, a Yale alumnus, spent most of his professional life providing medical services to the poor. He operated a clinic in one of the poorest part of Port-au-Prince, charging 20 cents for a consultation and 10 cents for a shot. As small as his revenues were, he donated them to the church either in kind or in monetary form. He also paid for the tuition of countless young students whom he sent to nursing school, both at home and abroad. I'm one of 3 boys. My older brothers, Jean-Claude and Edouard, followed my father's footsteps and those professions in the health sciences. Jean-Claude, until his death 9 years ago, was an ophthalmologist, and Edouard a pharmacist. I am then the youngest of 3, and to my father's disappointment, the natural sciences were my worst subjects in schools. And consequently, I did not embrace the natural sciences. I was also born and raised in a very musical family. My father was a clarinetist. My brother, Jean-Claude, was a physician, as I mentioned, but also the organist of the church. And my father, and later Edouard, my other brother, were the directors of the choir at our vibrant 4,000-member church in Port-au-Prince. My rearing would also help to explain the reason why I majored in music in my undergraduate studies. Through the years, I maintained a close relationship with my older brother, Jean-Claude, the physician. We shared some of the very personal details about our lives, and especially about our faith. Indeed, when I went home to study in the summer, or stayed in the wee hours in the morning when he came to visit us, we would spend the time sitting talking about theological matters. And as a scientist, he struggled with issues related to Jesus' healing and healing the sick, and the virgin birth, and the resurrection, the last of which is very central to our Christian faith. We explored the meaning of the resurrection and sometimes agreed and disagreed with each other. I learned a great deal from our discussions. It was during the summer of 2004, Jean-Claude went to visit his son, who is also a physician, in Omaha. During a routine checkup, the doctor felt a lump in his abdomen and requested further testing. MRIs revealed that he had a tumor so close to the aorta that its surgical excision would have been impossible. A battery of cancer treatment and experimental drugs failed to yield positive results. In the same summer, Gertrude and I were visiting our son in Colorado when my nephew called and told us that Jean-Claude's health had been worsening. We drove from Colorado to Omaha and were able to spend some time with him before he died about 36 hours later. His death affected me terribly. I loved him, looked to him as my elder, and like our father, he had great sympathy for the poor and had provided medical services to them for a major portion of his professional life. His death was a devastating blow for me. I asked myself, how could God allow such a terrible thing to happen? Why would God allow him to be taken away from the family so prematurely? For Gertrude and me, we are actually French speakers, and that's our native tongue. And French speakers refer to God as le bon Dieu, which means the good Lord. I asked then whether this nomenclature was appropriate. Was God really good? It was then that I turned to the Psalms and we read the psalmist's words in chapter 122. I lifted my eyes unto the hills, from whence does my help come? My help comes from the Lord. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper, your shade, and your right hand. Driving from Denver to Omaha to attend Jean-Claude's funeral, Gertrude and I passed northeastern Colorado and across the plains of Nebraska. We passed large plantations of sunflower plants. We were fascinated by the flowers' gentleness, their golden glow, and iridescent mixture of red and yellow colors. There is nothing on earth that proclaims God's gentleness better than the sunflower. Like the satellite dish that follows the space shuttle trajectory, the sunflower always faces the sun and rotates throughout the day in search of its light. Like the sunflower in search of the sun's rays, I turned to God in prayer for God's guidance. And from the psalmist, I found comfort in moments of tribulation, courage in times of sorrow, and wisdom in periods of doubt. God is my light and my salvation, and despite my distress and anguish, I will follow him